Today is day 30 of 75 hard and day 51 of posting every single day. I'm really tired, but I want to talk about what I have learned over the course of this 75 hard. As most of you know, this is my second time doing 75 hard, and this time it's taught me a few interesting key lessons. First, mentality is everything, okay? Listen, the first time I did 75 hard, we just trudged through it no matter what and got to the end and were excited, but it was a real grind, right? This time it doesn't feel nearly as much of a grind, and I think part of that's because I knew what to expect going in, but I also think that I just have a better mentality this time around. Granted, it's wavered at times, but overall, I feel a lot more positive. I feel a lot more in control of my life and my decisions. There's hardly ever a moment during this round of 75 hard where I'm like, man, I just don't want to do this thing. I might not do it. Not once have I ever second guessed myself that I would get this done. Now, how is that helpful for you? Listen, not really, but let me explain how I got my mentality to this point. So first of all, I think one of the biggest things is taking quiet time in the morning. So just spending like 20 minutes every morning, sitting there, meditating, really not even meditating in the traditional sense, just focusing on my breathing for 20 minutes, trying to keep my mind clear, just kind of locking in for the day. It gives you a chance to reset. You take a little time from yourself. I've been reading The Art of War. No, The War of Art. Sorry, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And it talks about this idea of you ink, right? So like you think about you got me right here. And then we also have the me that's doing this right now. So there's like Colin and then there's like Colin, okay? And I actually talk to myself in this third person all the time, right? Before I even read this book, before I started any of this, I would go, okay, Colin, we're going to do this. I don't know why. I just feel like that separation is helpful. And in the book, he talks about you ink, right? Where you have like, think of yourself, the person who shows up every day to get stuff done and, work and things like that as a corporation, you Inc. So Colin Inc. And then we have regular Colin, and regular Colin can be tired or whatever, but corporate Colin, he's got work to do. So he shows up and gets it done. And I think that separation there of sort of developing those two personalities, I think it was it LeBron had the Black Mamba? Listen, bro, I don't know sports, okay? It's one of the basketball players had the Black Mamba or whatever. You come up with an alter ego. Eminem had Slim Shady. You come up with an alter ego that's like, this is a guy who is me, but not me. And it gives you permission to act and do things that you wouldn't normally do. It gives you a reason to show up for yourself. You might be more cutthroat as this, corporate version of yourself or whatever. But I think developing that mentality of having two people sort of inside you, two identities, one that's maybe like the you and one's the coach you or whatever. I think all of that is super helpful, creating some distance there. So that's one thing. And then I would say the second thing, man, is that stuff's only as hard as you make it, right? Again, it comes back to mentality. Basically, all of business and life and stuff comes back to mentality, I think. It's really how you think about it because, frankly, bad stuff happens to everybody. Good stuff happens to everybody in various amounts to varying degrees. But at the end of the day, it's really how you think and feel about it. I think Tony Robbins says that there's two things that decide the entire course of your life. It's what you focus on and how you feel about it. Maybe it's three things. I don't know, but there you go. So the two things, I think, really changing what you focus on and changing how you feel about it and stuff really controls your mentality and just how positive you can be about stuff. I don't know. 75 hard this time around has really not been that hard. And like I said, maybe it's because I've already done it. I know what to expect, but I think most of it's just because I've decided it's not going to be that hard. I've decided I'm just going to get it done and it'll be done and it'll be whatever, I don't know. Listen, I'm just trying to share some lessons I've learned from doing this, okay? But yeah, that's that out of the way. Day 51 of posting every day. As you can see, I'm really tired. I'm making the log really late, okay? I spent the first part of the day trying to help someone I know get into YouTube, and then I spent that time also working on the next Clash PowerPoint. Okay, I think that might just be the thing. This video, the first one I posted is already at 1,000 views, which is not like a ton or anything, but it's doing really well for having only been out for 21 hours and 11 minutes. So that's a good sign, right? 1,000 views on a channel with 1,000 subs in the first day. I expect it'll go higher. We can only hope, we'll see. The retention's a little bit low. It does look like it's kind of flatlining, but it's also, we're coming to the end of the day. We wouldn't expect that the views keep going up at 11 p.m. Central Time. They probably go up maybe tomorrow if things go well. But it got a lot of impressions, so we'll see how it does. I'm excited for it. I'm working on the next one. Think it's a good idea. Think it's pretty solid. This is more like the content I used to make, but without all of the painstaking effort to make it some beautiful polished masterpiece when I don't think it needs to be that way. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And if it does well, maybe we'll run it back on some other channels or something. I don't know. I'll keep y'all guys updated about that. Overall, though, feeling good, okay? Even if this doesn't work, even if the PowerPoints don't work, I'll figure something else out, right? Something has to change. I'm committed to just making a ton of money from YouTube. I've decided that's what I'm going to lock in on. It doesn't have to be from one channel. I'm just going to lock in really hard on YouTube. Forget everything else. Forget constraints and trying to be famous and all of that jazz. Let's just lock in on the one thing that I'm actually good at and run it up as hard as I possibly can. That's the plan. There is one constraint. I don't want to make content the way I did before, right? It's too much effort for too little reward. So we'll find some middle ground. We'll try stuff like the PowerPoints or tier lists or whatever, there's got to be some way to get more bang for my buck, essentially, because I was putting in so much time and effort into those Overwatch videos. And granted, a lot of them did really well. Like, there are multiple 500,000 view plus videos on that channel, which is just amazing. What a cool thing to have accomplished. But it's just too much work for the amount I get paid for those. It's like, I think, to be like fully transparent about that, it's like $2,500 at best for 500,000 views, which sounds like a lot if you could do that consistently, but doing that consistently is really difficult. And all the videos take roughly the same amount of work. If I dump 40 hours into one video and then I go dump 40 hours into another and one gets 50K views and one gets 500,000, I spent the same amount of time and it just averages out to not be worth it. So have to find a way to reduce the amount of time I spend on every video. And I think the PowerPoints are a cool way to do that. I think they're really fun too. I think they're great at like edutainment content. Okay, you get to learn a little bit, get to try and make you laugh. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I feel good. I feel like have made some mental progress. I've accepted that I'm gonna have to do a bunch of shit I don't want to do, which is fine. Okay, because at the end of the day, I'm miserable. I'm kind of miserable right now, right? Like, I don't like the place that I live. I don't like being poor. I'm under a lot of financial stress. Like, I'm fucking starving every day, from the 75 hard, from the caloric deficit. Shit sucks, frankly. Some of it's self-imposed, to be fair. I could go make Overwatch videos, or I could not be doing 75 hard or whatever. But I think those things are important. I want to be a healthy person. I want to do things that don't make me want to hang myself. I want to try to improve myself, I would say, So, while shit sucks now, I mean, if shit's gonna suck, I might as well have it suck and be super rich, right? That's, why not? If I'm gonna be miserable, I might as well be miserable and wealthy. And the way I can make that happen might mean I have to be a little more miserable than I am now and do some shit I don't want to do. But fuck, if I could make, a lot of money, who cares? Then I can pay to get rid of most of it. There's this period of where you're really poor, you can't afford to do really anything, and all you can do is work your ass off, and then you get some money, and then getting more money is going to require you to do a bunch of stuff that you really don't want to do. But if you keep going, you can get past that part and get enough money to where you can start paying people to do the stuff you don't want to do and escape in a way. So I guess that's the plan, okay? That's the plan. I'll keep the logs going every day. They may not be like, I'm not even going to try, frankly, to make them valuable anymore. I don't think that was a waste of time in the beginning of this one. Listen, I'm just going to tell y'all what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking about, where I'm at, give you an update on me. We'll keep posting the Clash stuff and see how it does on this channel. I may move it off of this channel if it starts to really work, or something, because it just feels weird to make these logs on this channel and then also make the Clash content. There's also, because this channel is so heavily associated with me, I feel some kind of thing to, like, I have to meet a standard with these Clash videos when the standard that I have for my own personal stuff is just not going to fly if I want to produce a bunch of channels or something, It just doesn't work that way. You have to be okay with things not being perfect, and that's really difficult for me, especially on a channel that's so closely associated to me and my identity. But then again, I made, 4 videos a day and they were all dog shit. So what am I even talking about? Who knows? Okay, I'm done. I hit my 8 minutes. I think I've expressed everything I need to say today. Love y'all. Thank you for the support. Um, I don't know. Sorry that it's not gonna wind up probably being what I set out to do in the beginning. That you probably won't get the type of content you may have been after on this channel initially. But I mean, just how it is, man. I gotta. It obviously was not working. Okay, we tried quite a few things and it was not working. So we'll stop trying the stuff that's not working and let's do some stuff that has a better chance to work. Deuces.